Hey guys, it's Margaret, Texas Gal Treasures, and today I'm bringing you a video about 10 ways to increase positive feedback on eBay and Etsy. And before we jump into it, let me just say hello and welcome if you are new. My name is Margaret, and I am a stay-at-home mom reseller who makes videos about making money online and haul videos, sales updates. I also do videos every Wednesday about merch by Amazon and other print-on-demand sites, and I have unboxings and giveaways that I do as well. So it's sort of a catch-all. We do a little bit of everything. We have lots of fun. So hit that subscribe button and get notified when I put up new videos or when I go live. So today I am bringing you a video about 10 ways to increase positive feedback on eBay and also on Etsy. So one of the questions I see frequently, often from new sellers, is how can I get people to leave me feedback? So as a buyer, we tend to look at a seller's feedback and the amount of sales they've got. So we want to know, are we secure buying from this person, especially on a site like eBay or Etsy, where it's a seller, not a big business or corporation. But even then, we still look at reviews of items. So we want to have as many positive feedbacks as we can. And in order to do that, I've compiled this list of 10 things you can do to make sure that you are getting positive feedback. So before we jump into those 10 tips, there are 4 areas, sort of an umbrella of things that I see people leaving feedback for. And I want you to keep those in mind because it will help you zone in on where to focus your attention with your business and with your buyers. The 4 things that I've noticed that people leave feedback for are communication with the buyer, shipping, whether the shipping and packaging looks nice and professional, the price of the item and the price of the shipping, and then also whether the item is as described. So let's take a look real quick at my feedback. I went ahead and chose my store not because I wanted to show off of what I've got, but because I didn't want to pull up another person's store without their permission and highlight them, or pull up other people's that were kind of bad examples. You can go on eBay and search people's stores and take a look at this stuff for yourself, but I didn't want to throw another seller out there. So this is my store, Texas Gal Treasures. I have 518 reviews, feedback. So I've been selling since 2013, and I'm a top-rated seller. So you can see here, and this is what buyers will go and look at. As a buyer, this is what I look at when I look for other stores and if I feel comfortable purchasing from them. So let's take a look at the wording and the kinds of things and what of those 4 categories that these different feedbacks fall into. Here is the item arrived quickly and it was in the condition that was described. So those are 2 of them. You know, are you shipping quickly? And is it what you said it was? So again, beautifully packaged, even prettier than shown. We'll buy more from this seller. Again, the packaging. Item arrived when promised, was in perfect condition, perfect in every way, flawless transaction. Wouldst that all eBayers were as excellent? Thanks. Easy transaction, quick delivery, condition as described. So that's what they're looking at. Was it easy? Did they have any problems with me? Was the delivery quick? Packaging, shipping was good? And then those are the things that people leave comments for. So you want to make sure that those are the areas that you're really focusing on with your business. As described, well packaged, right? Great item, speedy delivery, careful packaging. Well packaged, arrived quickly, 0 hassles. Fast shipping, great product, fast shipping, fair price, accurate description. Keep those things in mind. That's the kind of stuff people are going to leave you feedback for. Okay, so on to our more specific top 10 tips for getting more feedback for your eBay or Etsy shop. So the number one thing that I have personally found that will increase the buyer's likelihood of leaving me feedback was to start saying thank you. And I don't do this with emails back to them. When I first started, I did not include any kind of insert or thank you note or card or anything. And the moment I started doing that, I saw a noticeable uptick in the amount of people leaving me feedback. I started off just getting cheap cards. I would find them at the garage sales or thrift stores, and I would just hand write a quick, thank you so much for your purchase. I appreciate it. Eventually, I got some cards made from Vistaprints, and it just has my shop name, my email, and if it's an Etsy, I put this in my eBay ones as well, but it's got a coupon code for Etsy. So nowhere on here am I telling people leave me feedback. Nowhere on here. It's just personal preference. So that is the number one thing that I found that increased the feedback that I was getting from buyers. So the second thing that I also started doing was making sure my packaging was a little more professional. When I first started, that was the hardest thing for me, was the shipping and the packaging and figuring all that stuff out. But once I got a system in place where it's pretty streamlined and my packaging looks good, I noticed that people really appreciated that. I don't do anything super fancy. I know some people on Etsy go really over the top with their packaging, which is great. But I don't. I use craft paper for the filler, and I'll use tissue paper to wrap things up, some sort of colorful tissue paper maybe, bubble wrap. Just make sure it's secure and clean and that it looks presentable. So the third thing ties into that, the being professional, not taking things personal when there are problems or hiccups with the business. So making sure that your communication with the buyer is completely professional, that you leave all the emotions out of it, even if they're attacking you. So I've had buyers come at me with all sorts of things, and I just have to remain completely professional and calm. And sometimes those buyers end up coming back and leaving amazing feedback. So make sure that you're a professional with your communication, with your presentation, and don't take things personally. So the fourth thing that I noticed with my business that increased the feedback was to ship out faster. When I switched over to one-day handling time, I noticed that my buyers started leaving feedback more often. I got a lot more feedback about it arrived sooner than I thought, super fast shipping, and people really appreciate that. In this day and age of click and deliver and Amazon Prime, people want to get their items quickly. So if you are able, increase your handling time and get the item to the buyer as quickly as you can. So the fifth thing that I've noticed is to under promise and over deliver. So this is with the listing description, with the shipping, with everything. So when I list my items, I put every flaw I can find on there because I don't want the buyer to get it and find something that maybe I missed. Or let's say the buyer sees all that, buys the item, and it comes and it's in better condition than they originally thought it was going to be. It sounds weird, but I get a lot of feedback from people saying that it was better than I described. It was better than I pictured. So that is something that people appreciate as well. When they get something and it's nicer than they thought. When they get something and it's faster than they thought. They want to be surprised, pleasantly surprised about those type of things. So the sixth thing that will help you increase your positive feedback has to do with those defects. Make sure that you have tested and checked your item over very carefully. Find every flaw you can and put it in there with the condition issues. Trust me, you would rather find it in advance than to send it to the buyer and have them find it. So I've had this happen where I have sold an item, gone to ship it, and found another defect that I didn't find originally. So in this situation, I always message the buyer and let them know, hey, as I was packaging it, I noticed a little hole, or I noticed a stain, or there was a little chip or a crack that I missed in the original listing. Here's a picture, here's what it looks like. Do you want to cancel the sale? Do you want to go ahead? So they're being communicated with up front about, what's coming, because I would much rather front load this and take care of it in advance than have the item arrive to the buyer and have them be unhappy with it, and then we have to go through the whole process of a return. So as much as you can, test and check for defects, and if you find one later, be upfront with your buyer and let them know. So next is the packing slip. This one I go back and forth on. A lot of people swear by the packing slip. A lot of people don't. I personally don't enter a packing slip. That's my personal preference, but I've heard really compelling arguments for going ahead with it. So I have a friend who does not put in the thank you card like this, but writes a note on the packing slip. If a buyer requests a packing slip from me, I do put it in. And again, I know some people will say, so what happens if the package is destroyed and they don't have your address anymore? And I can say that I have literally never had that happen. Now, I'm sure this week it's going to happen. I've never had that happen where the addresses were destroyed and they needed to open the package to find the package slip to see where it belongs, where the package belongs. So possibly if I had had different experiences, I would have a different take on this, but I'm all for it if you want to do it. I personally don't do it, but I think that's another way to go about it. Just have something in there. This is why I have my card. Put something in there saying, hey, I see you. I'm here. This is me. This is for you. Even if it's a packing slip saying, just jot, thank you so much, etc. So another thing I've seen people do with their packing slips is to have a sticker or a note on there where it says, we take pride in our top rated seller status. I strive to have great customer service. If there are any problems, please message me through eBay and we will take care of the situation together. So the eighth thing that people will leave feedback for, and not always in a positive way, is overcharging for shipping. So this was my number one problem when I first started, was figuring out the shipping price and charging my buyers accurately. And I still have problems with it sometimes. Sometimes I still overcharge a little bit. But what I decided to do when I first started was if I charged the buyer shipping and it was more than $2 more than what it cost me to send it out, I would refund the difference. Now, if it was, 50 cents, 75 cents, somewhere in there, I didn't bother with that. But if I knew I charged way too much for shipping, I refunded the difference. And the buyer's always happy to have that kind of honesty from a seller. So if you are overcharging for shipping by a lot, keep in mind that that's something you might consider. And like I say, no judgment. When I first started, it was a struggle to figure out the shipping, the price, the weight, all of this stuff, because I was not accustomed to doing this coming from a teacher background. So it's something to consider, and it will get better with time. So another thing I've heard people do to increase their feedback is to do quick flips. Now, this is getting something and selling it for pretty cheap, or maybe even for cost, to get more sales, to get more buyers, to get more feedback. So that's something to consider, buying things that are a hot commodity people want, selling them for cost or just a little bit of profit in order to get more sales and feedback. And then the last thing is just be patient. The feedback will come in time, and it's much better to wait for that positive feedback than to try to chase after people to give you feedback. So I would say absolutely be patient, and do not nag your buyers and send them repeated emails about leave me feedback and things like that, because you do not want to poke a sleeping bear. Because if they are not happy with it, the last thing you want is to have poked them to the point where they come and leave you feedback. But trust me, it may not be what you wanted. So be careful with that. If you are bargaining or begging or nagging people for feedback, it can come back and bite you in a negative way. So keep that in mind. So I'm curious to find out about what kind of seller you are. I'm going to put a poll question up here. How long have you been selling on eBay or Etsy? I really want to know. And also leave a comment down below if you have got some insight about getting positive feedback, or what your take was on these 10 ways to get more feedback on your eBay or Etsy listings. Thanks so much, you guys. Again, if you're new, I'd love to have you subscribe to the channel. Hit that thumbs up, and I will see you guys next time. Bye. So if you're overcharging by... Let me just get the right side in over here. That works. Mic helps. Interaction they have with their can't talk. More than $2 than it actually costed. Come on, Margaret. Costed?